Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be working on my saws. So basically what it is I've had this shop in my family for a very, very long time. My great-grandfather built this shop back in the 1940s. And, my family ended up inheriting it, this, that, and the other. And we still have pretty much all the family tools. Some of the tools go back into the 1850s that have been in this shop. And I basically kind of haven't used much of the hand tools in here, and I have piles of hand saws that have been around forever. And I kind of want to go through them because I'm reconnecting with my hand tools, and I haven't really used them much since I was in high school. They made us use hand tools when I went to a vocational school. So I want to go through these saws and actually get a good handle on what I have and try to bring them back to use. So let's take a look at what I got. I've got a lot. So I got a bunch of them right here. I'm gonna take them over to the table saw and lay them out. I built this rack, 15 years ago to hold them because I didn't know what to do with them when I blew out the wall, because the shop was half the size it is now. So I'm gonna bring these over to the saw. Just years of crud on them. Okay, I know this is one of my better saws. I've used this a lot in my miter box. So I should probably get some of this rust off of here. Oil it up. This one looks like it's in pretty good condition. It looks like it's about a 5 or 6 point per inch. This looks like it's a logging saw. I wouldn't know what to call this offhand, but it's a bit rusty, but it's nice. This one looks quite a bit newer. It's got like a Bakelite handle on it, which is kind of cool. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start dusting them all off and then take some water, clean them up a little bit. Maybe I'll get some vinegar to the rust. I don't know. I think I'm just going to wash them first and then try to select some of the better ones out of here to get them up and operational. Bakelite is such a cool material. I just thought this was dyed a funny color when I was looking at it. But, let me get some of the dust off of it. Look at that. It's really cool. Piston. Oh, this is a piston saw. This one's mega, but I don't think I'm gonna do much with this for the time being because I don't really see myself using this very often. This one's pretty nice. So many nice saws. When I was a kid, I just kind of looked at them as, there's a bunch of junky old hand saws. And when I was in high school, I always had to use hand tools for my first couple of years there. Well, for the first year. And I got to come home and use power tools, so I always use the power tools. This one's definitely a deep restoration project. It looks like my father tried to repair it. He's got some Gorilla Glue in there. I wonder why he decided to choose this one. Maybe he had some kind of emotional attachment to this one, although he had emotional attachment to basically everything in the shop. I mean, if I get some vinegar to these blades, maybe we can find some cool markings on them. I don't think this is a family one because it's got a price on it. My old man must have picked this one up somewhere. All right, I'm gonna go through the rest of these, stop yakking. All right, now I'm gonna start running through them with some water. Just clean everything up a bit. Get them a bit better. These things we're always going to have sawdust on them. But, okay. I think while I'm doing this, I'm going to break them down into different categories. I'm going to put some into heavy restoration, some into modern, because there's a few modern saws in here that probably belong to my father. And then into ideal. I know using water on this isn't a good idea, but this one was so freaking rusty. So I'm gonna put this one into the modern category because it just looks it to me. So the modern ones are going to go definitely on the back burner. Definitely on the back burner. So I'm going to keep on going through this. So I only had 2 really, really bad saws. Here are my modern saws, and they're just going to be put aside for the time being. This one right here doesn't need much of anything besides a sharpening. I really like this Bakelite handle one, so I'm gonna do this one. And here's another one that's pretty nice. And I'm taking a couple shorter saws as well. I might poach some parts to fill the screw holes from other saws, but I'm going to start the next part of this process, which is I'm going to get some vinegar on these. Since there's so many of them, I want to keep the parts relatively separate. So I'm just going to soak a paper towel in vinegar. And wrap them that way and let them soak for a while. I'm going to do this to all the blades. yeah, I don't want to lose all the parts. So I'm going to go ahead and do all this to the rest of them. The only thing I'm going to do with this piston is I'm going to sharpen it. So one of them got pretty gnarly, so I'm just going to glue this back together. Okay. Yeah, you can see where that's gray, that's been checked for a long time. Got it all clamped up. Now the pins, when I took the handle off, are a little tarnished. So I have some Brasso here. I think I'm going to use the Brasso and try to polish them up a little bit, make it look nice. I haven't used this stuff since I was in the Marine Corps. They made us polish all our stuff with it at boot camp. Okay, so I started up and I got it to the right consistency. Now I'm just gonna polish this stuff to the best of my ability. Get it so it's a little brighter. That seems to be a good idea. It's pretty close. Now before we start, we're going to talk about the tools that you need. A saw file, a mill bastard file, and it's just another file. Then you have saw sets, and I'm going to show you what a saw set does. So this is an extra large one so you can really see. What it does is it bends a tooth. So I'm going to show you real quick on this saw right here so you can get a really good idea of what it does. So I pop that in here, and that bends the tooth, and it sets the angle on it. Okay, so I'm going to start with doing the saw that I don't think needs a full restoration. So I'm just going to sharpen it, and we're going to take a look at it. Another thing you need is a saw clamp. So basically all I did was take this piece of 6/4 pine, and you can slide your blade in there like this so that it holds it really good. And then you can set it in the vise, and that gives you quite a bit of usable space. It sturdies it up quite a bit. Okay. Now, before you start, you want to make sure all the teeth are the same height. Okay, most good saws have a little bit of a crown in them when you start. Okay, so you take your file and you run it across the top just a little bit to make sure all the teeth are the same depth. Now you start perpendicular to the tooth. Go like this. I'm just showing for example purposes right here. Okay? Like that. And then after you go through the whole set of teeth, you need to set it. I'm going to show you really up and close me setting a few teeth, okay? So the reason why I have multiple saw sets is because they are all different sizes for different size tooth. Okay, so what you want to do is take this and push it over. Okay, you push the tooth over, and that sets the tooth. Every other one. I may as well get ahead of it while the handle's drying. I started sharpening this like it was a rip cut saw. It is a rip cut saw. Okay. For a second there, it looked like, I think these two are sharpened like a crosscut saw. But it's a rip cut saw. It's important to know what kind of saw you have when you're sharpening it, because if it's a rip cut saw, you file 90 degrees to the saw blade. If it's a crosscut saw, you file 45 degrees to the blade. Okay, now I'm going to go across and hit it with a micro bevel. Now, I've got to set this, so I'm going to set it freehand. So I should give you a pretty good idea of what setting is. A saw has teeth going, every other tooth goes the opposite direction, and you want to maintain that angle so that you get a good cut all the time. And this little tool right here bends the tooth. So you go up one side of the blade, every other tooth, and then you flip it over and you go the other way, up the other side. Who knows how long it's been since this thing's been set. They seem like they're pretty decent. Setting your saw is important because it makes the cut wider than the blade, and that's important so it doesn't get jammed up. So the set offsets the teeth, all right, and I'm trying to get it to focus. But I got a bit of a kink here. I'm going to try to take my bigger saw set and try to get that kink out. So I'm going to work it on the anvil, both sides, try to flatten it. All right, I'm going to try to get this one back together. This one's a tough slog. Getting it out. And looks a bit better, don't you think? The handle's still kind of grimy, but it's better. Getting some boiled linseed oil in there. So this saw is an 8-point per inch. So now that I have the rust busted for the most part, I'm going to lube the blade with Ballistol. Just going to let that soak in. If you're unfamiliar with Ballistol, Ballistol is a food-safe oil. I think it's mineral-based, and it's kind of stinky, but it's good stuff. I'm going to let that just soak until the handle's dry. I'm going to put it back together. Now, I'm going to see how this one's going. It's busting some of that rust. It's not in as bad a shape as it once was. Alright, I'm going to take the handle off and I'm going to sharpen this one as well. Try to get all this junk out of here. This one's missing the emblem. Not terrible. See, that vinegar really does get off that red rust. Ooh, got some kind of marking. It's in cursive, but it's illegible. If somebody knows what it is, don't be afraid to tell me. So this saw is a little different. This is a crosscut saw, so I have to sharpen this differently. Okay. So with this type of saw, you have to do every other tooth, and you do it on a 45. Skip one. Then you work your whole way across the blade, every other one, then you switch it over and you go the other way. All right, this saw is giving me eye problems. Ooh. Gotta move that. Now I gotta set this, okay? So I gotta set it basically freehand. So I'm going to work my way down this and just set it. And then I'm going to pop it together, okay? And I got the handle off. So you know what? While it's dry, let it dry. I'm going to put a little boiled linseed oil on the handle. Keep it going. Keep the process going. All right, I put this one back together and I oiled it with some Ballistol, and she's pretty good. Let's see about how, I bet you this is 11 per inch. 1, 2, 11 per inch. All right, this is another one that I really like. I really like this one with the Bakelite. And I don't think I'm gonna be able to get that rust out. That's been sitting there for a while. So I'm gonna hit that with the grinder. But I'm gonna take my handles off. I'm gonna go through the other saws and see if I can find something to pinch it from so that this one will be complete. But Bakelite's a really cool material and I like it quite a bit. So with it. But I also want to be able to use it, so we'll see what happens. So I'm going to get the grinder on here. Well, got this in the vise. It's a 9 point per inch. Let's get this sharpened. It's just a regular rip cut saw. All right, let's start sharpening. All right, I've gone through, and now I'm gonna put micro bevels on everything. So I'm just showing you quick. All right, I gotta start from the back and go all the way up. Just a quick. All right, it's time to set again. With the teeth being bigger, it's so much better than that 11 point per inch one I just did. My eyes were starting to bother me pretty hard. I think I'm going to go in the house after this and have lunch. That bakeaway's got some slight cracking in it. So I think I'm going to stay away from that one for the time being. I'm going to go dig around and see if I can find on one of my other saws two that match this. All my saws are so nice over there. I don't want to pinch anything from any of them. So I think I'm just going to go look in my boxes of hardware and see if I can find some stuff that'll work. Because that just seems like the right thing to do. I've got so much hardware. That I should be able to find it. All right, last step, ballast all. This is tool meat on there. I didn't see that before. I went through the other four saws just the same as I did with these. I sharpened them, set them, and I added linseed oil to the wood handles, and I also oiled them. I don't think it's really necessary for me to show you doing four more saws. Alright, so I went through these saws. I picked a fair few of them. I mostly picked them by length and didn't really think much about crosscut or rip saw. The way how it worked out is I got two crosscut saws here. I got two nice resaw saws right here. So I went through all of them. Oh, and I have a few just regular rip saws right here. This one's my favorite. I gotta go dig through my box and I gotta find a couple more screws. And I got another one right here. Need the screw. So I started at about 8 o'clock in the morning in here, and it's 1:30. So it took me a fair amount of time. I took a half an hour and had a lunch. So I did boiled linseed oil on all the handles and put oil on all the blades, a nice light coat of ballistol. Okay, so I'm going to show you the saws that I have left over, and I'm probably going to do them in the future, but I'm probably not going to make a video of it, unless if there's one real special in there that shows up. So, yeah, these are all just kind of average. This one probably needs a deeper restoration due to the fact of that. But I got a bunch of pistons in here. And this one right here, I'm definitely going to do a video of me redoing, because I'm going to get my miter box set up and have it all rocking and rolling. So I'm going to do a really nice job with this one, because this is a good saw. I always enjoyed it. All right, so I probably should do a couple cuts for you, see how they look. So let's check it out. I'm gonna grab one of these rip saws. I'm gonna let that one relax. I'll use this little rip saw. You know what? We'll go for this one. It's still pretty sturdy. Let's just take a line right down it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cut it on your side. Should have went the other way. All right, let's try how this goes. Pop it in the vise. Pretty nice. Slow cut though. Alright. Let's see how it looks when I cut it open. The oil's all over it. It's a fairly reasonable cut. Now for trying out my crosscut saws, I'm going to grab this little guy, because I'm probably going to grab this one the most as a crosscut saw. I have a back saw too, but I might grab this for crosscut saw every now and again. So let's give it a crosscut with this. Oh, that feels wonderful. Fairly smooth. I really enjoyed that one, so I'm gonna go for this one again. The one that has the markings I can't really read. Ooh, that feels really nice. This one feels even nicer than the last one. Temporarily, I'm going to put these good saws right here. I'm going to have my cross cuts there. My two resaw there. And my rip cut's over here. And that's where they live now. Well, I hope you really enjoyed the video. It was really fun going through these old saws and getting them back and in tip-top shape. It was just great. I still have a bunch more to do, and I'm going to go through them eventually. But now I got a nice selection of good saws ready to be used at any point in time, which is crucial. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.